It's that time of the year, guys. 2024 is just around the corner. The year's almost over. And to be honest, I truly believe that December is probably the most wasted month every year because it's typically when the majority of people fall into a mood of relaxing, chilling, taking their foot off the gas. And this is something especially true in Latin cultures because of probably all the holidays. People just look for any reason not to work really. And this is a mindset that I've never really resonated with, I've never really related with, because despite having, let's say, a high volume of work, whether it was when I was in school, college, or now with the business, typically one day of reduced volume is all it takes for me to feel re-energized and get back into it. And taking 2 weeks off to me is just way too long. It would cost me way too much stress to not be doing anything productive for that amount of time. But I understand that the majority of people don't think and feel this way. People mostly just want to relax. But if you are watching this video and you are part of this channel, you're not one of those people. You are striving for greatness and you want to see how much you can get out of life and out of yourself. So with that said, I'm going to be sharing my goal setting framework that I've been using for the past 2 years now, and it's the same one that I plan on using for this coming year. Essentially, all of my goals now, I set them into one of three categories, and these are universal categories or evergreen categories as they're known. One is health, which is, your body and your mind. The second one is relationships with your friends, family, co-workers, significant others, etc. And the third one is financial, economic goals, whether it is through your job, your career, business, etc. And all of the goals that I plan out that I'm going to achieve, like I said, I assign them to one of those categories. Also, they can be like a mix of both because there is some overlap between them, but essentially that's now the high level overview of my goals. And then something that I do once I plan out the goals that I have is I define the time frames. And typically I've experimented a lot with this, but currently I've settled into just working with three time frames. One is short term, which is 1 month to 3 months. Second one is medium term, which is 3 months to 6 months. And then long term, which is 6 months to a year. And the reason why I stick to that is because before I used to do the whole, okay, what's the 1 year goal, 3 year goal, 5 year goal, etc. And don't get me wrong, I still have an idea of where I want to be in that time frame, but when it comes to specifically defining goals and action steps to achieve the goals, I typically work only within those three time frames that I mentioned, essentially just a year into the future. Everything falls into that. And the reason for that is because those baby step goals all connect into the long-term future, like into the long-term goals that I have anyways. And the way I look at it is if I make sure to take the action steps needed to complete the baby step goals, it is inevitable that I will achieve the long-term goals, assuming they are related and connected. So that's one thing. And the second reason is because time and life, now everything's happening so fast that you can make a plan for 3 years, 5 years down the line, but so many things can happen between now and then that it's usually better to not have anything set in stone, because flexibility, I would say, is probably one of the most valuable assets you can have nowadays. To give an example, back when I was working my corporate job at Texas Instruments, I was living in Dallas at the time. And I had a 2 year, 3 year plan to, at the time, finish working there for 2 years, then move to Florida, get another job, and move in with my girlfriend. And that was before the pandemic. So just imagine how drastic of a turn that series of events caused in my plans. And that really made me shift my perspective as to how I approach my goals, like I said. So now I try to focus on from now to 1 year in the future because it's more, I don't want to say manageable, but it's just, it helps with providing the flexibility. Plus, I can focus on the things that will move the needle forward like immediately. Because you can say, for example, that 5 years down the line you want to be a millionaire living in Dubai, but okay, you have to break that down into different steps. So I decided to instead focus my energy and effort into the beginning steps of this goal in for example, or any other goal. And once I complete those 3 steps, then I worry about the next 3, and so on and so forth. But essentially, yeah, I make sure to assign each of the goals to one of those 3 categories. And then I assign the time frame, like I said, short term, medium term, or long term. And then the next step is to reverse engineer what action steps are needed to accomplish that. And the trick here is, one, we already said the deadline, but the other trick is to make sure that the goals are based on, are not based on an outcome. For example, let's say that I say that one of my goals is to get 1 million YouTube subscribers or 5,000 YouTube subscribers. That is an outcome that I want. That is not a goal. The way I define a goal is something that I can control. So instead of saying that I want to get to 5,000 YouTube subscribers or whatever number that may be, that is the outcome that I want. But the goal that I would assign to achieve that is, okay, the goal is to upload 50 YouTube videos every single month, because that is something that I have control over. I can't control whether or not people subscribe. I can definitely influence it, but the amount of videos and the quality of videos that I put out, that is something that is under my control. So I make sure to set that as the goal. I do keep the outcome in mind, but I never measure it based on the outcome. I always focus on what I can control. Because if you really think about it, if I post nonstop videos every single day and I keep increasing the quality, keep increasing the volume, it is inevitable that I will reach the goal. And this is the way I look at pretty much life, pretty much everything. And now in this example, it's YouTube, but same thing would apply for, let's say, the gym. You're trying to bulk up, maybe gain, 5 kilo, 10 pounds. Then, okay, what do you have to do to achieve that? If you track your calories and you're consistently eating above your daily maintenance level, and you're working out of the gym and everything else, assuming your sleep and everything else is on point, then you will eventually hit the goal. Just the outcome is to reach a certain weight, but the goal should be to track your macros every day, track your weight every day, go to the gym every day, work out every day, etc. Things you can control. That's how I approach any type of goals in my life. And the reason why I always pick the start of December to start planning out my goals is precisely because it's 1 month ahead of the competition. I like to look at life and everything as a competition because it gives me an extra motivation to pursue the goals, and it allows me to get a head start. Essentially, if I can start now, I've never been one to fixate on meanings of certain dates, like the day turning or the calendar turning from December 31st to January 1 has no special meaning to me. I know a lot of people don't see it that way, but personally I think it's, we overvalue those things, which in my mind really doesn't make much sense. But, to each his own. Everyone can look at the world the way they want. But if you are someone who is serious about achieving any type of goals or anything of significance, then time is of the utmost essence. I'm about to turn 30 next year, and that's something that as I've grown older, I've gotten a bigger and bigger sense of urgency that I can't really afford to be wasting time fucking around or wasting time or energy on trivial things. And that's something that I've made it a point especially to make sure that everything I do, even the people I interact with, are in alignment with that. And even the goals that I am working towards have to be consistent with that belief, with that, with the fact that I have to take consistent action, and anything that slows down or derails my progress or my momentum is not going to be a part of my life plan, because time really doesn't stop, and it's something that I've learned to value extremely more as I've gotten older. Went on a bit of a tangent there, but I truly believe there is no drawback to preparing for next year as early as possible and starting to map out your goals for 2024, especially because being proactive and taking initiative is something that compounds, and over time you're going to start to see the rewards of being ahead of the curve. This is the message for today that I wanted to share. I am curious, or if any of you wants to share how you approach your goal setting in general, or what plans do you have for the next year. Even if it's just for accountability, I'd be curious to know, or please feel free to share. And as always, I really want to thank you for watching. Let me know if there's anything else that you'd like to see. Appreciate you've made it this far, and I will see you on the next one.